Men of Reddit, what are some things a mom should know while raising a boy? You will not believe how much he'll eat as a teenager. I read this as you will not believe how much he'll eat ass as a teenager. If you and his father are not together and or you have negative feelings towards his father, don't tell him all the time how much he reminds you of his father. Also, don't complain about the other parent in front of him. Not a gender issue, but seriously that can really fuck with a kid, especially if both parents are still in the picture. Unless the parent is a real scumbag that is to the point the kid shouldn't be seeing them anymore. Then remember they love both of you, and if there's anything that'll cut a kid up it's feeling like they have to choose between parents. Also, chances are when he's older he's likely to just choose neither of you, and you'll wonder why he's so distant. Edit. Okay, so this is now my highest rated comment ever, and I think my most replied to, so thank you for the metal, and I'm sorry I couldn't get round to replying to everyone. That being said, if you are having problems with your parents, and you still live with them, I'd advise you to talk to them. Do so calmly and respectfully, and you have a chance of solving the problem. If not, then I'd advise that you just forgive them, as there is nothing to be gained by holding on to the past. While it is obviously a crappy thing to do, remember that complaining about your ex is a normal and human thing to do. Despite the negative effects, your parents probably didn't realize what they were doing at the time. There is no need to blame them for something they didn't realize at the time. Despite the fact that obviously I and a lot of other people are guilty of this. Don't tease your sons about any female friends. It usually leads to issues with them being unable to talk to you about things when they actually do like someone. This is one of the most important pieces of advice out there. My mom thinks every female friend I've ever had is a crush, when that's simply not the case. As such, I can't talk to her about female friends anymore. Remember going on a camping trip with several friends, both boys and girls. I had my camping gear at my front door and was getting a couple last minute things. Friends show up, one of the girls just starts loading my stuff in the car. My grandmother says to me she's cute, why don't you date her? She's a friend. B, she'd never date me. C, we don't have a lot in common. Etc etc etc. I have a young boy going on 3 years old. No matter the age, they're fascinated with their penis. My wife was so concerned because my 3-year-old had no interest in it. I told her to just wait. A couple weeks later he was parading around slapping it and twanging it like he was a double bass master. These apply to children in general. Please explain why things are being done. Like why you're going to run errands, why he has to do the dishes, why he shouldn't eat all that sugar. It's very frustrating not to know. It's also important that you reward the good things he does and punish the bad through deprivation of reward. You should also praise work ethic over talent, as that's the biggest predictor of success. Don't tease him about girls, just let him be. Otherwise, he'll feel too awkward to bring anybody home or confide to you. You can have interest, just don't be overly nosy. When changing a diaper, have the new one ready and cover the ween. Cold air hits and they pee. I'm lucky that my little guy is 4 months old now and has done this 3, maybe 4 times. After hundreds of diapers. His nurses freak when we don't cover him. Course, now that we don't expect it, he's gonna get us in the eye one of these days. Mine once peed in his own eye. I couldn't stop laughing, and he got super pissed off at that. I think he was around a year old. Keep your promises, especially the small ones that are easy to let slip. And when you break or slip up on one, directly acknowledge it with them and apologize while trying to make amends. Even, especially, really, if they don't remember. Raising a child that keeps their word is 100% modeling, not lecture. You have to show them how to build those skills by demonstrating them daily, while reinforcing that with direct explanation of what you're doing or thinking in relevant contexts. Simply put, don't hold them or yourself to a standard of perfection or pure honesty. Expect accountability and integrity, even in failure or mistakes. It's just as important how we handle when we fail through our own mistakes as trying to avoid making them. Edit. To those who have shared their experiences, good or bad, thank you. You all deserve to have promises made to you kept. Be good to yourselves. Keep being amazing. This part is easy and know you've made someone's day better. 3. Encourage them to be adventurous, to take smart risks, and how to negotiate. Was raised by a very overprotective mother. I learned none of these things till middle age. Help him to understand you can't mask Bo, especially by using half a can of deodorant. Deodorant needs to be thought as pre-odorant to work properly. Mother knows best. Has some weight as a phrase, but should never be law in your relationship with you son. It's infuriating when trying to defend yourself, or what you want, while knowing the entire time you'll get dismissed entirely. Of course, you should have authority over your son, but ensure you do so respectfully. Listen to what they have to say and reflect upon what is being said. Don't take those moments your son may argue with you as time to catch your breath in between berating him. That and when he may be looking for jobs, unless you live in a small town, or the place of work has a sign regarding hiring. Everywhere does job applications online. Sending him around to every shop with a CV/resume will just be a waste of paper and time. A certain generation is under the impression that it'll show you're determined and may get you a call, where the reality is closer to oh his parents clearly told him to do this. Yeah, sorry, all our job stuff is online. It's good to be involved, but don't be overbearing. The most stressed out and repressed guys I knew growing up were always the ones whose mothers controlled every aspect of their lives. Also, have trust and tell him you love him. This, my mom always knew best. Even as an adult I usually gave in, because she never wanted to hear otherwise, and I didn't want to fight. I continued this tendency into my first serious relationship, where my girlfriend was quite dominant. I'm in therapy. When your teenage son suddenly wants to do his own laundry, let him. You do not need to be touching what he is trying to wash away. He'll pick up on all the frustrated expressions of all men are dogs, and ain't no such thing as a good man narratives that you think escape the little guy's notice because you weren't talking directly to him. He may well grow up feeling like it's 1. Impossible to be a good man, so why try? Or 2. Devote an obsessive unhealthy portion of his life trying to prove you wrong and win your approval, or continually flip-flop between the two. You are raising him to be a man someday. He's not your little boy forever. How do I, as a mother to an 8-year boy, relay that to him? He keeps saying how he never wants to grow up and leave me. He is super clingy with hugs to the point of hurting me. When out in public he constantly wants to hang off my arm, or put his head in my lap, etc. On the one hand, he is so sweet that I want to soak it all in, but on the other hand, I don't want to raise him to be a super clingy so to someone in the future. I have tried to tell him that people don't always like the smother hugs, but he isn't quite getting it. Banning him from leaving the house alone at age 12 until he's 16 because there's a single pedophile in the area isn't going to give him any good habits. R/oddly specific. If you are arguing and he retreats to his own room or outside, don't follow along continuing the argument. Young people have a hard time expressing themselves and may need time to process their thoughts. Men are too often given the impression that they are only allowed specific responses, and unfortunately one of them is anger. As a teenager, I couldn't get away from my parents when we argued, and I ended up feeling trapped. I've suffered a panic attack when my mom flew off the handles the last time. Was kicked out in my underwear in -10 degrees. Got to go back in half an hour later completely frozen, and just curled up in a corner and cried. She came up to me, took photos of me, and then ridiculed me for not being a man, and blamed me for destroying her life. Soon. 1 year. Then I'll be gone. Forever. If you tease him about personal relationships at a young age, he'll never trust you enough to talk about deep personal matters. Another is, don't share stuff your kid told you in private with your friends. Especially not during dinner, when the kid can potentially hear it. It's a breach of trust that never recovers. If you knock on his door and he says give me a minute, give him a minute. Don't just walk in. My dad always knocks and he immediately opens the door. If it's early in the morning, he'll just walk in assuming I'm still asleep. I told him it's his house and he can do what he wants, but one day he'll walk in on me dick in hand and that's his problem, not mine. He's respecting your privacy by knocking and asserting his dominance by going in anyway. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that bell to turn on notifications, so you'll be sure to know when the next video comes out. Want to watch some more? Check out my other videos. I really do appreciate everyone who helps make these videos possible. And as always, thanks for watching.